Am I the a-hole for publicly humiliating my wife at her workplace after discovering her affair? I don't even know where to begin. My wife, Leah, 43F, and I have been married for 10 years. We have 2 beautiful children, our 5-year-old son and our 2-year-old daughter. I thought we were happy, or at least I thought we were trying. But 4 weeks ago, my entire life came crash down. 46 me started to notice when she was glued to her phone more than usual. Leah has always been private, but this was different. She'd smile at her screen, then immediately lock it when I walked into the room. One night after she fell asleep, I couldn't resist. I checked her phone. What I found still makes me sick to my stomach. There were messages with a coworker, Eric, 48M, going back years. Explicit texts, photos, promises of love, even references to secret trips they'd taken while I was at home with the kids, believing she was working late. My heart was racing, my hands trembling. I confronted her the next morning. At first she denied it, said I was misunderstanding. But when I read her the messages out loud, her face crumbled. She admitted it. She said it started 4 years ago, long before our youngest was born. She tried to justify it. You were distant, we were struggling. But nothing could excuse this. I started digging deeper. I followed her to work one day, needing to see it for myself. Sure enough, after her shift, she walked out arm in arm with Eric. They didn't even try to hide it. They got into his car and drove off. I followed them to a restaurant where they sat like a happy couple, laughing, holding hands. It broke me. But what shattered me completely was when I learned they'd built their own life together. They'd been renting an apartment near work, a place where she'd go when she was working overtime. I saw them go inside, watching them from my car parking on the streets a few blocks away. I checked on them for about 4 nights, and they had the same routine. That's when I snapped. I packed all of her belongings, everything she owned, into the back of my car and drove to her workplace the next morning after spying on them. I know I did wrong. When she walked out, I dumped everything right there on the sidewalk in front of her and her co-workers. I told her she wasn't coming home. Since then, Ella filed for divorce and am fighting for the full custody of the kids. She's begging me to forgive her, saying she doesn't want to lose the family we built. But how can I? Friends and family keep asking me if I regret how I handled it, publicly humiliating her, kicking her out without notice. I do. She tore our family apart, and the least she could do is face some acoon at the a-hole-bility. But I can't help but feel like the bad guy for how I acted. I had nights where I felt very lonely and I miss her. Of course, I am also attending to therapy sessions to be better for the kids and for myself. All I care about are them. They don't deserve this chaos. And as much as it hurts, I know they are better off with me than someone who could live a lie for so long. Am I the a-hole? Comments. The only thing to worry about at this point is a DNA test. That's the first thing that popped into my mind when original poster mentioned the length of the affair spanning from before the 2-year-old was born. The woman cheated after being caught cheating means there is no relationship with original poster. At that point, there needs to be no consideration given to the alien living in original poster's home. In fact, the second alien, Eric, also needs to be nucleared. They can live together in their other affair apartment, secure your assets. Limit your liability. Cannot the a-hole in the threat. Nuke the entire site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. This is great and should be on a sign hung up somewhere. Tintin quote. Thank you. The aliens movies are so educational. I'd add an STD test too to be sure original poster is safe. Don't forget to call HR. Most companies don't want the employees fraternizing. You don't want your future ex-wife jobless during a divorce either. After what happened, throwing her belongings at the workplace, HR is aware. Exactly. Also, I would tell everyone about her affair, how long it's been going on, how she was literally living a double life. They have an apartment together and were a full-fledged couple at their job. How she left you and the kids at home while she continued her affair even after you confronted her. No one has a right to control how the victim reacts to being deceived, disrespected, and utterly devastating in the manner in which you were. I'd be interested in the HR policies about dating a coworker. Decent chance both of them need to be fired. If she gets fired, she may be entitled to more alimony and child support. This is a time for rational calculation, not shooting yourself in the foot. Child support? He should get full custody, and she should have to pay child support. I got all sorts of small, and some not so small, vengeances on my ex-wife who betrayed, lied, stole, cheated, and spread awful lies about me to our common social circles. Zero regrets for how I treated her after that. I even enjoyed some of it. No! Don't get her fired, or you may be paying more in alimony and child support. Talk to a divorce attorney ASAP and have a strategy for getting out of the marriage with your finances and not the aholect. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Your STBX had no problem making her affair public, so she has no right to cry about you making the divorce the same. I really hate it when people claim to want to make a relationship work after they were outed in an affair, but they did nothing to stop it while it was ongoing. The time for possible forgiveness was when she came to you and admitted she had an affair, ended it, and wanted to make things right with you. Not the a-hole be worried about DNA test. Not the a-hole. Nope! Not the a-hole. When she became unhappy in your marriage, she should have came to you to fix it, not crawl into bed with her coworker. Marriage is a partnership and she stepped out. You have every valid and good reason to leave her because of it. Honestly, you could leave someone because you hate the way they brush their hair. You're unhappy and leaving is the right choice. No one wants to live in a home where mommy cheated on daddy and daddy hates her. Leaving and building a new life is the best step. Good job. I would have done the same exact thing. 100% the asshole. But the most justified asshole I've ever seen, I'd have done the same thing. This shit's fake. I've seen a similar story like this before. Also, wouldn't someone at their work say something seeing them together? Low effort prompt. You need to edit these before you post BC. The chatbot doesn't actually know shit about how a divorce unfolds. Then needless detail about the heart racing was the first major red flag. But the part where he packed everything she owned and put it in the back of his car is a level of stupidity that only AI could come up with. She locked her phone. But you knew how to unlock it anyways? This has been going on for years, but her behavior just started becoming suspect because she seemed happy and secretive suddenly? Okay, bud. Weak fiction. She started an affair with Eric before your son was conceived, and you think you're the a-hole? She knew she wanted Eric and lied to you then. She wanted out of your exclusive matrimonial relationship, but she continued to lie. You confronted her and she tried to gaslight her way out of it. So did you need to toss her clothes out in front of her coworkers? Was that the right move? Well, it was colorful and demonstrative. It clearly established all the emotional anguish she inflicted upon you. It was an honest reaction. You're only human. Now that you're fighting for sole custody of your kids, tell your lawyers and the court that you want her to pay child care. You want her wages garnished to ensure it? Someone mentioned paternity tests. That may be something you really don't want to know the answer to, but in this case you might need to establish that for the court. She should also be sued for your years of costs in maintaining a home and lifestyle for her. Why should she be entitled to half? No, you're not the asshole. But your soon-to-be ex-wife is... No, you are not the asshole. Perhaps if it was a fleeting thing. But 4 years and an apartment. What you did was therapeutic to you. That should have left you with some tiny feeling of being vindicated. That's about all you could have done that didn't end up with you in jail. She had to expect something like this eventually. Unless they are complete idiots. As far as humiliation, everyone at work knew what was going on. Fuck 'em! You need to go out and get you a younger and hotter GF4, then go somewhere where she will see you, your new younger GF, then tell her she was getting old and you should have replaced her sooner. Yes, I know I'm a cynical asshole. I've been down a similar road. It ate at me till I felt I got payback and returned the knife left in my back. That felt great and enabled me to move on without deep-seated hatred. It sucks getting burned by the person you trusted most. You need to do equal parenting time. Even if she cheated, that doesn't mean she loses her kids. You can't use the kids to hurt her. That's not right to the kids who you said were the #1 priority. I'm not defending her for cheating, but that just doesn't mean she loses custody. Embarrassing her at work was actually probably better than doing it in front of the kids anyways. Straight am I the a-hole H for breaking up with my boyfriend after finding out he's in adult films? So, I, 23F, broke up with my boyfriend, 24M, and now I'm stuck questioning if I went too far. We'd been together for 6 months, and everything felt great. He's funny, sweet, and we had this amazing chemistry. He works as a mechanic, or at least that's what I thought. And I've always admired how hardworking he seemed. A few days ago, though, my friend sent me a link that changed everything. She somehow came across a clip of him in an adult film. At first I thought she was crazy, But curiosity got the better of me, and I watched it. Don't judge me, I needed to confirm. And yeah, it was definitely him, his face, his tattoos, everything. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. When I confronted him, he didn't even try to deny it. He admitted that while he works full-time as a mechanic, he's been doing adult films on the side for extra money. He claimed it's just work and insisted it's not a big deal, but I felt completely betrayed. He never once mentioned it to me, and the fact that he kept it hidden for 6 months made me wonder what else he might be hiding. Then, he turned it around on me, saying I was being judgmental, a-hole and hypocritical. We argued for hours. He said I'm close-minded and that I don't understand the industry, but I couldn't get over the fact that he lied, or omitted such a massive part of his life. I ended things, telling him I couldn't be in a relationship where I felt like this kind of trust was missing. Now I'm overthinking everything. Was I being too harsh? Should I have been more understanding? Or was it fair for me to feel blindsided and betrayed? Am I the a-hole H? Comments not the a-hole. He didn't tell you because he knew you wouldn't be okay with it. You're right, he knew I would not approve it. It was a big shock finding it out that way. Has he been doing these films while you were dating? Lying by omission alone is reason enough not to trust him. But has he also been cheating on you, but not considering it cheating because it's just a job? Is he using protection in these films? If not, please make sure you get tested, AP. I believe actors have to get tested before every film or skit is to make sure they're not spreading it. I think there are a lot of legal requirements in many industries. As a contractor, I can tell you that many are broken on a daily basis. Either way, most women I know get tested after a relationship ends. It's just good practice. Plus, normal panels don't test for everything, so I hope she can get in quick, not the a-hole. You're not judging the work. You're upset about the dishonesty. He kept a huge part of his life hidden for 6 months, and trust is key in a relationship. You set your boundaries, and that's valid. Thank you. Trust is one of the most important things in a relationship. Not to mention he's having sex with other people. That itself should be a clear deal breaker. You would only be a hypocrite here if you were also banging other people. Are you banging other people? Not the a-hole. Being in the sex industry is something you need to tell your partner fairly early on in the relationship. I'm going to say before month 1 of the relationship, but for sure before you have sex with them. Confused by the hypocrite comment, are you also hiding the fact that you have a secret job? If not a hypocrite? Yeah, I'd say well before 1 month. Like in the first week? Nah. Tell them on the first date. Don't waste people's time. A month is way too long to hide such a big and controversial fact. Not the a-hole at all. I have seen lots of posts about guys doing this when they find out their girlfriend or ex was an escort, or also did films. If you have that kind of history, you're gonna need to be upfront about it. I think this happens unfortunately more often than we think, not the a-hole. I think it is kinda important to disclose the fact that you are a sex worker, and he is getting paid to cheat on you and risk diseases on your behalf. Dishonesty aside, he's still doing it. If this were me, 2 things are concerning with that. The first is the most obvious. STIs and STDs aren't some minor unlikelihood. Depending on the porn, there could be a significant chance of infection, since a lot of adult actors are paid extra not to use protection. The second is that it's for work doesn't change that he's having sex with other people regularly. I don't know your stance on monogamy or non-monogamy, but you can only make an informed opinion about the situation if you know about it. Now that you do know, how do you feel about him fucking other people? For someone like me, who considers heavy flirting cheating, I wouldn't be cool knowing he was sleeping with others, even professionally. He's going to a set where people have gathered to intentionally fuck each other. There's no way to guarantee it's 100% always professional. I mean, actors fall for each other all the time because they had to play lovers on screen. You're telling me being naked and sexually aroused around other naked sexually aroused people isn't going to lead to some extracurricular hanky-panky? Of course it does. There's nothing wrong with the work itself, but there are other complications to consider. Bullshit post? Well, this sub is a joke fake. Written by ChatGPT. Whether this is just work, for money, or whatever explanation he rationalizes this to you with, your boyfriend is actively having sex with numerous other people and not disclosing that to you. Another AI post, Jesus, not the a-hole, trust and honesty are crucial. You were right to set your boundaries. He didn't let you know he was having sex with other people. That is a huge deal in most relationships. He is definitely the a-hole here. Not the a-hole, he should have been honest with you about it. If he had been, you could have made an informed decision. Though I'm fairly sure this was his big secret. So why waste time worrying about what other things he might be hiding? If he ended this career before he met you, then the judgment might be different. There ought to be no shame in being a sex worker, but the existence of such shame does not excuse his failure to disclose. If he would have been honest from the beginning, maybe it would be something else, but finding it out that way was a big shock and a betrayal for me. Reading this and thinking about every woman with an OnlyFans that moans about men not wanting to have anything to do with them. Look, I think he concealed it because he knew he would get this reaction. If it's too much for you to take, that's fine. Be honest about it to yourself and move on. You don't have to judge it by his standard for your opinion to be valid. I'd say that concealing that he's an adult film actor is significant and potentially embarrassing for you, particularly as your friends were the ones to break the news to you. Dump him and move on. He's having sex with people for money, not the a-hole. He lied to you and was fucking other people behind your back.